Peke has not been an Azir player. Nagne's probably, it's my favorite champion in Nagne's hands. I think Origen should get rid of Azir.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things they have to do on the red side, though, especially if they want to be able to deny Gangplank, depending if they want to play against Mordekaiser. That will already eat multiples of their bans. Azir is the first one, though, as you wanted, Quickshot.
Yeah. Peke's not good in it. Sorry, Peke.
Yeah,
It's
fun.
He showed multiple times, and against Febiven in particular, it was a major sore point. In fact, Peke played a large amount of Vladimir into it as somewhat of a counter, or at least a farm lane, and just tried to outscale.
Now the bans are getting kind of tricky. Braum ban by KT Rolster takes out arguably the best support on this patch. We still haven't seen the standard bans. Lulu, Gangplank, Mordekaiser still open. There are 3 bans left. Yeah. We'll see where they go.
Lulu had been a standard ban, but it's
That's
sneaking through so much. It's banned here, which then leaves Gangplank, Mordekaiser, and if KT Rolster wants to control it, they can guarantee they get 1.
And of course, Gangplank in Soaz's hands is game-changing.
Which would mean it must be, if they don't ban Gangplank, you must expect someday to first pick it.
Yes.
Well, maybe that's the answer.
Well, it's because they've decided to board mount. This basically tells me that KT Rolster does not want to play a Mordekaiser strategy. Because either they would have gotten Gangplank or Mordekaiser, but now they're kind of opting into not playing with either one.
And Origen do the expected thing, they ban away the Gangplank Soaz. Very reluctant to let the champion go, of course, but does not want to give it to KT Rolster. Elise, however, will be the first pick. It's been a top pick here, and arguably the best jungle pick so far of Worlds.
The first time we'll see that in Score's hands as well. Amazing has played Elise and Rek'Sai in his previous games. We know he can play Lee Sin as well. That could default to the comfort pick for Origen. Knowing they're on red and knowing they can counter the solo lanes of KT Rolster, I'm expecting a support in jungle. It's the safest.
I think so. It's also locking down their synergy, and most importantly, I think it denies Peekaboo from Thresh. Peekaboo's Thresh is awesome.
Yeah. And a great pick away from Origen as a result, as they do go for support jungle. Very standard stuff on the red side, but Thresh Gragas, a little bit of extra bonus there, taking it away from Peekaboo. We've already talked about these 2 support players. Both Mithy and Peekaboo make a huge impact on this game.
They really do. And the 2 picks that Origen have locked in can fit into any team composition. There's literally nothing that you're locked into with either of those. Amazing, again, one of his most played champions throughout the summer split and one of his most successful. But what is Niels going to play this game? Sivir is open and available. We've seen some of the LCS teams playing it over the last few days. If they want to go for the utility, if they want to go for a carry, Niels has also played Vayne in the past and hard carried.
Yeah, the thing though is with those 2 picks, I'm a little surprised that they picked the Gragas so early. Obviously it leaves a lot of options open, but that would have been an opportunity for Niels to play Kog'Maw and deny it from Arrow, because it's almost a certainty that Arrow's going to be picking Kog'Maw on the other side. He does it immediately in this next rotation, and this is actually probably what KT's composition, it fits into their win conditions and their normal play pattern. It has a nice, good mid-game power spike, and then they can try and rush the game down after that point.
Yeah, I don't think KT could have asked for a better start to this draft here. Alistar Cog are their 2nd and 3rd to join in with that Elisa's Peke. Playing with the crowd a bit, does flash Draven, which, yeah, we'll see. But Niels will have to change champions here, so it's at least not going to be Kalista. And I have to say, for how good Niels has been, it's definitely been Soaz and Peke also stepping up to the same level. So the talent across these 2 teams, with the way they've been playing already on Worlds, Crumb's already called as his game of the day. It's going to be a good one for sure.
And I think the Sivir would be the safe bet. Gives you the team fighting power. If you want to put Soaz on a carry, something that can deal damage, you can enable him with Sivir. And Peke, old school.
Very old school. And he is going to take it by the looks of things. Twisted Fate going to get through once again. Twisted Fate Sivir, Origen's 3rd and 4th.
The last time that Peke even played Twisted Fate was in July. So it's several months ago, right at the beginning of the summer split. It's not a champion that he's played a whole lot.
Yeah.
This split, but historically has played an exceptional.
Exactly. At the same time, Peke played in the Season 1 World Championship, and one thing about players that have been around for so long is, especially on legacy picks like Twisted Fate, even if they haven't played it in a long time, you know they've played in metas where Twisted Fate was dominant and had mastered that champion previously.
Yeah, the master of backdoors.
That's true, I did think about that.
You mean XOS?
Oh!
Okay.
He hasn't picked yet.
The question is, does Nagne run an assassin into TF? You can punish him so hard.
Certainly hope so. Nagne is I think people call him like the janitor style mid laner, where he likes to clean up from the back end of fights. Be cool to see him on something a little more aggressive here with the Echo, but
Yeah.
KT rounding things out. Looks like it will be Echo and Olaf are going to be the final picks from the Korean side.
That, I mean, I'm excited to see the Olaf now blind picked. Also excited to see what Soaz has as a counter pick. They've used really aggressive counter picks for Soaz and put him on carries thus far. But honestly, Nagne, a person who typically sits back and tries to split farm and lane, now being on an aggressive assassin where he needs to aggress to shut down Peke, creates a really interesting dynamic in this matchup.
It does. It is something he's done on the odd occasion, but definitely not a traditional thing. The thing that I also want to know about the KT Rolster comp, Alistair, Elise, Echo, Olaf, they all dive forward. If at any point they pick an incorrect team comp or incorrect fight, Peke is going to be able to find Arrow really easily. There's not a lot of protection if KT are starting the fights. So I really want to see their synergy, whether or not Peekaboo is just going to hold Arrow's hands and try and pulverize and headbutt away anybody that tries to get to him.
And now Origen trying to line up their last pick.
Yeah.
I thought the Fiora was just for fun, but it might actually be the pick here for Soaz. We expected it from someday, but it is! Soaz in Paris will play Fiora!
Awesome.
And what a crowd for this to happen with.
So obviously a little bit less tankiness on the side of Origen. Triple threat. They're going to have to position and flank well in these team fights, but also KT, while they have a tankier lineup, still have the flank assassination. It's actually, as Quickshot mentioned, a very melee-focused team composition on the side of KT, with the one long-ranged artillery in the back with Kog'Maw. This will make some incredibly interesting fights in this one, because if KT overcommits in one direction, the Twisted Fate could then rain terror onto Arrow. So much of it will be in the start of the team fight and how much KT can get done when they initiate.
And the amount of pressure on both of these jungle and supports to get the correct deep vision down. It's going to be so crucial for Origen to place flanking wards to ensure that Olaf and Echo do not get in on the side lanes and wreck them. I think Origen have a small window of opportunity more because of the Destiny, the fact that that's going to give you vision at any time and allow him to get behind Arrow. But it's going to be pressure. I think Origen, a lot can be made or broken based on those flanks and side lane visions.
Well, we're going to have to find out soon and find out who, in fact, will take first in Group D. So send your predictions over to @LOL Esports with the hashtag OGWin or the hashtag KTWin. We know the crowd is rooting for. We'd love to know at home who you guys are rooting for as well.
And this is the hype game. I love Group D, honestly. Group D is just amazingly exciting, but the two 2-0 teams being 3-0 gives you such an upper hand in making it out of the group.
Especially after seeing Team Solar Mid just pick up a win. All of a sudden, that #2 spot is going to be what's on the line for whoever loses this game.
And so important in the first half of the Worlds to get things going early. But Soaz now in the top lane with that Fiora as KT and Origen take it to the Rift for their final time, I believe. At least in this part of Worlds.
This week, yeah.
And you
Till
can see
next
KT
Thursday.
hanging out in a brush. Very defensive setup here. Some wards kind of around their blue, perhaps expecting a 5-man for Origen. But right now, just spread pretty evenly across the Rift.
Earlier on at Worlds, we saw so many level 1 kills and fights, but it's really been a bit tame. The game against TSM and LGD, we just saw defensive line wards by both teams and standard lanes even. You would almost expect Origen and KT to do a little bit more lane swapping because that's traditionally what they've been doing here at Worlds. But if they actually are happy with these lane setups and just want to kind of reach the mid game at a normal point, the way they're setting up right now, okay, now it has Arrow roaming up to the top lane, so it looks like we're going to be getting some creativity from KT.
And once again, 4 teleports in game. So something that we'll definitely have to look at the numbers, just how many games mid laners have taken that teleport in conjunction with the flash. We've had debates about the effectiveness and what it offers you in lane, and etc.
Well, to me, the mid lane summoner spells always go on a cycle. You have the really aggressive kill champions being in when the assassins are big, they're bringing Ignite, and that almost necessitates the use of defensive summoners like Barrier and Heal. But then sometimes people realize if you're just going to bring a defensive summoner, well, I'm going to take a utility summoner because I'm no longer under kill pressure. And it takes a big commitment of switching your playstyle away from utility to go back to the Ignite. So it's a repeating cycle, and until people are more comfortable playing around assassins and losing that utility, we're going to continue to see more teleport here at Worlds.
You can see Origen starting up their jungle. Peekaboo has had a look in there, got a ward down, at least has some knowledge, but won't be able to take anything away. Double jungles have been started by both sides, though, and we do have the 80 carries on opposite sides, and you know, they're both going to be fine. They'll get some farm, they'll get some experience. Probably favors Arrow a little more for the early additional thing, but Mithy now also going for a walk.
The mid-game power spike from Arrow is greater than that of Niels, but Mithy looking for an early roam.
Oh, not going to work this time round. Their sentence was just out of range. But we do see Amazing and Soaz still meeting up and holding hands in the jungle, or fairly traditional double jungle start. And already 3 minutes in, both Peekaboo and Mithy have left their 80 carries alone, relatively safe, trying to get as much information as possible. That red ward not going to give too much info to KT over the next few minutes.
Yeah, and specifically KT has played this lane swap to not do the quick turret trade and dive, because they quickly position their support and jungler underneath the turret as it would meet, and are preventing a 3 or 4 man dive because they got the 3 people there early. So this actually makes an extended laning phase, and I think it's one that Soaz actually is not super favorable on against a Godmode with the range advantage.
It's also interesting to see because OG have traditionally been that team that has gone for the early tower and then the tower dive, the European lane swap, if you will. But Soaz early teleport up top, gonna take a couple of autos from Arrow, and we did see Amazing just do that full jungle clear. He's now got that blue sentinel secured.
Soaz, we'll really have to see how things develop. Pokemon traditionally pretty good here, but Soaz can, you know, smart enough player, has played a lot of different matchups in his time, both competitively and, of course, when just playing in general in solo queue. Peekaboo is going to join up in the top side, though. Arrow is going to have a bit more protection. That is going to force Soaz much further back towards that turret. Yeah,
it means support has to go up top there. Right now, Mithy's actually not doing much down bottom with Niels. Someday can still see us from range with his axes, but because Peekaboo's gone and on the earlier roam, he's not being controlled or matched by Mithy as of now. It's going to be shutting down Soaz a little bit, and the rest of Origen isn't in position to dive someday for not having his support there. Amazing's on the wrong side of the map, so really nice rotations there by KT.
Yep, no dives happening just now. You can see Mithy starting to zone a little more. Someday showing a lot of respect. Score, though, going to say hi to Amazing in the jungle. Is going to get the Raptor. Just walks up and takes it.
Yeah, right now, KT is absolutely winning this battle. They started much earlier than Origen, and now since they have taken control of that jungle, they are then ahead on the dive timing as well.
Yeah, now here it comes. Soaz smart to back away. He'll be safe, but he might lose the tower in top instead.
Feels like Origen just a few steps behind KT right now. Amazing is going to make it to the bottom lane, but a few seconds late, and it looks like Arrow's going to get that minion wave up to the tower, so we may end up seeing a trade nonetheless.
Yeah, pace is slightly in the advantage of KT as far as the timing of the ganks and when the top laner had to leave. But as far as who actually got the first start on the turret, the Sivir was able to shove the lane faster than Kog'Maw, so Origen catches up based on champion pick there.
Yeah, big damage there by Nagne in the mid lane against Pekka. We talked about the Assassin matchups being generally good for the Assassin players against the Twisted Fate Pekka. No ulti just yet, doing just fine in CS for the both of them. Could see some early teleports for those quick Dorans, and then who knows where people are going to go. Pekka just wants to survive in the lane and then move off somewhere else.
Once again, Origen's traditional. It's the side lanes that win them games. Pekka is required in the mid to late game, but with the Twisted Fate, he can get involved significantly earlier. And obviously either get Soaz ahead in this unfavorable matchup that was against both Kog'Maw, and then once Olaf gets up there, we could see some very aggressive trading, especially because Soaz has no tower to fall back to.
Yeah, what Soaz is doing right now is classic Soaz, in a sense, because he's always going to be like, I wonder what would happen if I do specifically this thing. He has no turret, no wards in his own jungle. They don't have wards in the opposing jungler, so they have no way of telling where support and jungler are. He should be dead right now, but it may actually end up killing Amazing because there's a sense of security.
Well, 3 members of KT moving to the top lane. We can also
it's
see
a 5-man gank.
This is terrible. This is going to be so bad for Origen. Mithy is in so much trouble. He's been pulverized up in the air. Score is going to chase him down. Cocoon connects, as does the headbutt. They turn their attention to Soaz. He gets caught out. Time Winder will be not enough to kill him. Flash over the wall. Not sure if that was worth. Soaz goes back in, hits the vital, gets a little bit of sustain. 2 kills to KT Rolster.
That was the result of a longer play. The fact that the wards had already been set up in the jungle of Origen created that really beautiful sidestep. Of course, going to pay.
Nice juke. Score actually looking to be dead. Does repel away. Now Nagne could be in trouble, but Amazing has to dodge out of the way. Gets comboed up by Peekaboo. Pekka probably can't save him from this point. Does flash out. That might be enough. Arrow still chasing, and Origen will be lucky not to lose 2 more.
KT always has more people where they need to be. If Pekka didn't outplay that one, it would have been a disaster, but he actually does manage to force a flash out of Score despite them being caught in a 2v4.
Well, a little awkward there for Origen, and very well played by KT, and I think misplayed perhaps there by Origen in the top lane. So as though is going to return, already down 15 CS in that lane, and it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, specifically to talk about that play, it was a mirrored swap, aside from the fact that KT had the vision down and Origen did not have the vision down. So as took an educated guess that KT wouldn't loop around and go back to the gank, but he had no certainty. That's why it was a risky play, and that's why it was a misplay.
Punished really, really hard for Origen. They need to now scramble. A couple hundred gold down. Luckily, Niels has been left uncontested, so he's actually built himself up a 20 CS advantage. And the BF sword into Sheen will also give some favorable fights if Mythy can find those death sentences. And obviously will dwindle the longer this game goes.
I feel like a lot of Origen's success has been strong team fighting. Certainly the side lanes are looking good so far. So as maybe not so much, but he's pretty comfortable right now in the top lane, all alone with that wave. Some days actually going for a walk. It looks like KT might be setting themselves up for a dragon. Amazing in the area though to try and get vision back and prevent that play. As Peke does teleport back to mid lane.
Yeah, Peke's got a nice little cushion in the mid lane right there.
Straight stuns. Peke now going to get driven out. Amazing actually, looking for the follow. Score repels up again. Peke trying to get it, but a good stun comes out. Peke will get the first kill. Now Nagne going to get chased. Mitty, flash play there as Nagne's forced him. Real get out there as Peke going to keep diving forward. Looks for the stun. Finds it onto Nagne. Ultimate out. Huge bomb hand, but Mitty collects it.
What an amazing outplay by Pekka right there. He pulled the red card on the timing in which Score would be descending and threw it at Nagne, and that's what killed Score with the AoE. Then he translated that on to the rest of the play, and this opens up a big window for Origen to take Dragon. Such a good Twisted Fate play.
What'd you say about old champion mastery there for Peke? Certainly showing it there.
He's gonna have it. Oh my God.
If there's one thing that Peke has consistently done is show up at the World Championships. Another game, another strong play, and this time early on to counterbalance giving up those early kills. 2 assists for both Amazing and Niels. And of course, Peke picking up a kill and says, Niels, do not face check.
Oh, Peekaboo face! Just flashes onto him with the pulverized exhaust is down. Niels burns everything to try and stay alive, and he'll get tower dived, and Arrow gets the kill.
It's not over yet. Mythy gets caught by the cocoon and tower dive. KT say we want 2 more, and they put it in Arrow's hands.
And 3 kills on Arrow is devastating. So while Origen is getting their advantages with outplays, KT is just winning through strategic mastery right here. Origen's wards are lacking. KT has sufficiently better jungle control. They get all the way around, which easily sets up Peekaboo the confidence to not flash pulverize. He pulverized flashed out of the brush, so there was literally no possible way for Niels to spell shield that without vision. Gets the double kill because they had the people for the dive after the fact.
And going to be a dragon now for KT is Peekaboo. Actually the one to collect it. Dragon number 1 for this game does go over to the Koreans. And looking good so far. Gold fairly even. But you can see that first dragon could start to stack up here. It's Amazing. Checking very aggressively into KT's jungle. Going to try and steal these wolves.
Yeah, quite confident that dragon was going down. At least get the wolf spirit, but take a look at the top lane. 4 members of Origen in this sort of northwest quadrant of the map. Gonna set up either for a tower dive or happily just for the tower itself.
Yeah, they're trying to match what KT just did, except this one is much more telegraphed because you can see the vision control from KT is higher. So instead of it being a double kill, it may just be some turret pressure.
Yeah, they get the tower at least. But every time you look at the minimap, it's just KT have littered. Everywhere on the map where they're focusing their attention is littered with wards. And Origen are simply not replying yet. They will get a few deep wards down in the blue buff area, but the tower's fallen, the blue buff secured, so there's not a lot of reason to stick around.
The impressive thing about this is, even before that turret went down, Origen had a gold lead, despite all of this, because Peke is so heavily out farming Nagne, and the wave clear from Niels is giving him a nice CS advantage on Arrow, even though the gold is down on him because of the 3 kills. But 3 kills to 2 assists, and it's a 80 gold lead amongst your 80 carries. Origen is really outplaying KT on individual levels, whereas KT is they're sacrificing some individual things for team advantages and executing on those team advantages. It's a really well-played game.
Certainly is here, and we'll see which style does prevail as you move further through this game. So the average first dragon time's actually pretty long there for KT, at least so far in the group stage. But KT did get a nice early one there, so that'll bring the average down just a bit.
Significantly lower. It's a little early to start talking about 20-minute gold leads, but Origen have actually been a team that don't play very well from behind. In the 14 games they've been behind at 20, they've only won 4 of them.
Yeah, and that's in the European
That's in the
LCS.
European LCS Summer Split. So as a team, these next 8 minutes are going to be crucial for Origen because at least from the last few times we saw them, they did not play very well from behind. There has been a full boot camp. They have gone to Korea, so that can of course, have changed. But let's see what KT can do, because at 20 minutes in World Championships, they averaged 3,500 gold lead.
Right now, it's just a lot of split pushing for both teams here. Arrow getting stronger and stronger, almost up to that Trinity Force. Mithy and Niels poking around, trying to see if they can investigate this vision, but Peekaboo very valiantly defending that wall. They'll actually go back in. Peekaboo pops his ulti. Mithy caught out of position, but Peke gonna try and make his way in. Mithy still alive. Now Sunday gonna chase him, but Nagna's here as well. The flay's not enough to keep him alive, and Niels gonna get himself chased down as Sunday's gonna clean him up.
Double teleports expended by KT there to get the 2 kills. This is actually, yes, they pick up the 2 kills, but it's more about how Origen answers this, since a 5-man investment in the bottom lane is huge.
Really, really is. There will be a lot of damage on this mid-outer turret, but nothing further is gained. So Origen now have a 2 teleport advantage for the next few minutes. They have a tower to knock down in the middle lane, but nothing in top and bottom. So even if they want to get more with their TPs, they have to go incredibly deep into KT's territory.
I don't want to understate how impressive that play actually was by KT, because they had the vision control to teleport onto the wards within the jungle, and it's an extension of their playstyle. But now Origen is trying to match this with teleports from Soaz. He gets a little bit low early.
Well, let's take a look. Grand challenges there. Gold card connects, and here's the heal. Soaz will replenish all of the damage he's taken. Peekaboo gets caught by the gold card. He does not have access to that unstoppable will. Gonna get run down. No more mana for Peke. Mithy gonna swing for the death sentence.
Missed the flay!
He missed the flay. He finds the death sentence. Soaz low on mana as well. The cocoon connects onto Soaz as Nagne is trying to chase him down. There's no more support from KT, and OG get 2 of their own.
2 for 2. You burn both teleports, you get 2 kills. You burn 2 teleports on the other side, you also get 2 kills. They get the turn on top of it, so Origen swinging back really well in this match.
Yeah, you can see the gold lead starting to creep up a little bit there as Origen, the 2,000 gold ahead now. You mentioned the 20-minute mark being very important for this team, so we'll track if they can get it any further than that. Dragon up and back up, in a minute 45. But the first items are starting to come out now for both sides as well. Olaf getting tankier. Morello Nomicon completed for Nagne. A Trinity Force done for Arrow. Niels has something in the bank, I'm sure. But we look at the big carries for Origen. Lichbane done first in the mid lane for Peke, and a Hydra already done for Soaz.
Yeah, big time Hydra for Soaz, big time Lich Bane for Peke, but I'd say almost an even bigger Trinity Force for Arrow. He is going to be huge right now. Someday as well, against the fairly CC heavy Twisted Fate and Thresh, may end up being a big problem come these team fights, since he's picked up the 2 kills and can run straight at Peke's Twisted Fate.
Well, Peke is going to at least get some damage on the inner turret. He's got the support of Mithy. Mithy's going to need to land those flays in future. Arrow will secure the second tower for KT down in the bottom lane.
That's going to move that gold lead much closer back to even now, only 1,500 up for Origen or so, as we do wait around for that next dragon. I like the pressure that Peke is applying to the Origen, trying to be proactive, make sure KT can't get a second dragon, but we'll clear out some vision here. KT, though, they will be ready when the objective rolls around.
Peke actually has 1,800 more gold than Nagne here. Massive advantage. We saw Bjergsen also get a tremendous lead onto Nagne. It's could be a big red flag for KT as they move towards more of Worlds. Nagne is losing lane by massive margins, and people always say he's great in team fights afterwards, but it is always a hole that KT has to make up for in those team fights.
We'll see if they can, because not only does Nagne have to make up for it, he's on a champion playing a style that's not necessarily associated with him. We didn't see any of the lane pressure from that Echo onto Twisted Fate, because all the action was happening elsewhere. And with Dragon spawning shortly, again, look at KT. They've got some wards in the river, at least 1 ward near the blue buff of Origen. Luckily for Origen, they have control of the Scuttle Crab.
It doesn't look like Origen is willing to play KT's game of just grouping up at the Dragon when Kog'Maw is sitting on his Trinity Force Power Spike. They were rather doing the split push game very early, 1-3-1. Classic, like, Season 2/3 Fnatic is how they're playing right now with the Twisted Fate and a split pushing Soaz.
And we might even have a dive here. Mithy looking around. Soaz, though, just slapping the tower. Someday trying to get him off. Does eventually move him away. But Amazing's also here as well. Good collapse from Origen as Peke pokes around. Now sees the dragon, actually.
And KT has actually been dictated to with that play. Look at all the wards they placed towards the dragon area, and then they completely abandoned their ward zones. So the instant KT moved out of that, they lost all of their pressure. It actually meant Origen could go and kill the pink ward, and because they're running KT around, they end up actually getting the dragon.
Exceptional. After 15 minutes, Origen now find the reins and take control of the game. They expended their double teleports to reply to what KT did, and obviously are now making the strategic decisions. We're getting closer to that 20-minute mark, and Origen are even in position to defend this mid-outer turrets.
Yeah, and KT is looking for that window where they can take over the game. They've had very close early games so far in this group, but they usually find a pick somewhere and then take 2 or 3 turrets, and then the game is over. They're trying to do that in the mid lane right now. Peke is split pushing, so Origen is trying to hold off.
Yeah, Amazing actually used his ulti just to disengage KT off the tower and keep it up for a bit longer. Peke bottom line, Lichbane starting to do some work, but Someday just popped the ulti. Peke has to get out. Someday can't cancel this. Peke leaves effortlessly.
Woo. Destiny's not even the longest of cooldowns. 1.5 minutes at rank 11 with his current CDR build, so not even going to be too painful, but you can see very clearly the strategy Origen are committing to. They want Fiora and Twisted Fate pushing the side lanes and leaving Niels and Amazing to wave clear.
And Jack brought it up already. If you're going to have double TP in your solo lanes as a metagame, I feel like Peke and Soaz started this before it was cool.
They're real happy with this. They're real comfortable in the double TP game. All the way back Season 1 or Season 3 World Championship. Peke and Soaz obviously weren't on the same team during the Season 1 World Championship, but honestly, KT's continue to hammer this mid lane looking for a play. Peke's actually a little low.
Oh, Peke's dead! Cocoon connects as well, and Score sinks the fangs in. Amazing! Body slams forwards, yells nope, and flashes away. Parallel Convergence has gone to the wrong direction, but Nightknight may still find Amazing. There is some slow from the barrel. Soaz was able to get a tower though, so they traded a kill for a tower. Grand Challenge is not going to be able to heal Soaz, and Amazing will get dropped as Score grabs another.
That's that near 20-minute explosion that KT is waiting for. They play the mid lane game, they get the dive, and then on the other side of the map, Someday just outstats Soaz. He's like, do you know who Olaf is, bro? He just, nothing Soaz could do in that 1v1.
And we're pretty much back to even now. We talked about Origen's leads being important, but game is practically the same as far as gold goes now. Niels and Mithy will get themselves a Scudder Crab, and Niels actually starting to pump out damage as well.
This is going to set us up for a very exciting mid-game phase with both teams having teleports, both teams having their sort of primary carries enabled to a degree. It will come down to the vision and the decision-making around your objectives. Peke, risky being that low.
Yeah, they should have been forfeiting that turret. You could tell they were halfway between a decision, and they ended up getting caught for it. Then Amazing bailed out. Maybe he thought he had allies coming, but that's as close to a misclick as you'd like to give a player credit for, because there's no reason to body slam him.
There's still a Lantern hanging out there by Mithy as well, and Amazing's like, nope, gotta go the other way.
Oh, so as, again, the ward control has been dominated by KT.
It really has. He's just going to get run down. 3 members of KT chasing him down. Teleport is up, but I don't think Soaz will waste it. Is going to riposte the Cocoon before he gets sunk down. 4-0-1 on an Olaf. That's scary.
And despite being a favorite, Soaz, we have seen this play pattern from him before. Origen gonna have to execute a little more cleanly on this split push if that's what they want to be doing. KT starting to find picks, starting to get more gold, and if they ever find a big explosion fight, KT can take over.
This is what cost TSM their lead against KT Rolster, being out of position, being too deep, not respecting the vision. This is exactly what the analyst desk had talked about. Origen as a team make these mistakes, and Soaz as a player is very greedy in those side lanes. He's done it multiple times against players like Huni in the European LCS, and he's doing it now against Someday.
Yeah, and I do have to point out the Rod of Ages on Peke. It's a very non-standard item on Twisted Fate. I'm guessing he's using it for a little bit of extra durability, since Someday will be running straight at him, does true damage in a lot of his damage, so Peke won't be able to get resist to stop that. I honestly expected a Zhonya's with his next item, because that's more of the thing you would use if you're going into the back of a team fight. But maybe he just doesn't expect his ability to actually dodge the CC with Zhonya's. He just wants to tank it up.
I mean, probably the next item, as he does go back and get himself a need to see large rod. Someday will get spotted, but he's rather tanky at this point of the game. Black Cleaver, and then possibly Frozen Mallet? No, not too sure, but could do just about anything there. Got plenty of health, at least, built up early.
4-1 at 4-0
Yeah.
at this point, so Frozen Mallet wouldn't be the worst. A lot of different directions you can go on.
Sterex, Deadman's, a lot of ingredients that
Sterex
could
is
Sterex was the
probably
one.
the
My
one.
guess is Sterex, but we'll see. Niels, don't make the same mistake. He's got the support of Mithy, but Someday not going to look for an engage. And the pace of the game has slowed down. Again, all of the outer turrets being down. No real deep vision from either team. Defensive wards in the bottom half of the map from KT. So no aggressive posturing, and it feels like we're just waiting for this next dragon.
Origen have swapped it up as well, moving Soas to Arrow's side lane now, instead of up against Sunday's Ola. Peke still holding the fort in the mid lane here, because of the blue buff, and able to wave clear nicely. But Nagne, also second item, Abyssal Scepter actually for a nice cost-efficient little build, and Score does get the crab.
He'll be able to provide a lot of threat in teamfights with that pretty low-cost build. And I think the reason the game is slowed down right now is the 1-3-1 has been completely contained by Origen.
Oh my Origen!
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a European special. Origen on a 22.5-minute Baron. They're rushing it
Sunday
down.
has home guard.
Here comes Sunday.
He's going in for it. Can he maybe get the steal? He's going to try and do something here. Origen, Score! He's going to look for it. Gets altered up by Gragas. Can't move into the pit. Now Peke going to get vision. He needs to leave. He hits a cocoon. Gets knocked down by Nagne. No, he can't chase it. The flash has come out.
Peekaboo saved him. Pushed him over the wall. Origen get Baron, and they get away, igniting the fans in Paris.
That is a European special there, Not Creppo.
I'll go with Creppo. I'll take it.
Because specifically, right as the dragon is going to be taken, there no KT. It's so clever to play on KT's tendencies in that specific way. They know their dragon is going to be littered with wards. KT is just like, all right, this is how we win the game. We do the dragon, we just wait for it. But they absolutely counter it. They get the teleport, they burn down the Baron, and then Peekaboo whiffs on his headbutt combo. The slowdown on the speed of that headbutt pulverize, Peekaboo did not time it properly.
When you are at the World Championships, you need to make big, brave plays. Origen showed that they can read KT Rolster, and they make the perfectly executed Baron call.
The crazy thing is, actually, Arrow was so far behind, Origen probably could have won this fight. But they were expecting a full collapse down, so they decided to run. Beautiful cocoon from Score.
Opa.
And a whoopsie. Easy escape for Peke. Easiest escape.
Yeah, totally calculated there from the mid lane up. As they do actually move down. I mean, getting Baron's nice, but what can they do with it? That's the next big question. KT have shown plenty of strength and resilience here in this game already, but now a big moment for Origen. They can make huge leaps and bounds with this Baron buff. And look in the bottom lane, but haven't struck down any structures just yet.
And it's interesting because Origen as a team are not traditionally ones that go for those really early, really intelligent Barons. It's actually H2K and Fnatic that have built up a tendency. We'll talk about that in a second, as Amazing has found Sunday.
They're trying to fight, but Sunday's super low. He's got no ult. He nails. Gonna pop a secret spots. Peke gonna dive in onto Nagne, but the chrono breaks out. Just gonna get himself killed. Origen find the pick.
Yeah, that's a large amount of the wave clear from KT now out of the fight, and they might continue. They're just using the end of the Twisted Fate ultimate to see right there. This is at least one turret.
They will get themselves one, and there's Baron-empowered minions being pushed into the top lane by Soaz as well. He does not have teleport if anything were to break out, but look at KT. They're scattered. They're late. They've lost an inhibitor turret.
Nagne's dead. Can't clear with that go. Arrow doesn't want to go alone, and Sunday was too low to throw axes at the wave. They had no wave clear to stop those turrets. They're getting a ton of gold right here off this Baron.
Pings down the bottom as well. Peke is going to run down here. See, Twisted Fate does so much damage to turrets. Peke going to do a good job taking this out. Niels, he's hanging out in mid lane, just doing it on his own. Going to go in onto Score. First crit's good. Spell shield's not quite there, but he does get pulled away to safety.
It's a lot of damage onto the inhibitor, and Origen now have a 3,000 gold lead. Baron still a couple seconds before timing out, but what a great play. Origen need to get deep vision down, and they need to rinse and repeat to get these last outer turrets down.
Yeah, there were several weeks of intense preparation going into each one of these team matchups. And you said, Quickshot, that Origen wasn't that team to kind of do the really aggressive early 20-minute Baron calls, but specifically against KT, it just feels like something that was prepared. The way Origen has been drafting throughout this entire group stage, meticulous team compositions to attack teams' specific tendencies and weaknesses, and this was actually a play designed to punish KT's strength, which was vision control in the Dragon area on repetitive fights. It's awesome.
And they're executing excellently on top of it as well. Origen do find themselves with a nice lead. It's not massive, but it'll have to do. The Baron's one off and will reset for the next few objectives. Origen, though, have carved themselves up a nice spot to fight if they want it, so it's a matter of can they continue the momentum they've built.
And the thing is, we're still early enough in the game that even though that inhibitor is exposed, it is still incredibly risky to go for it. So yes, despite the advantage being with Origen after that Baron power play, it's going to be very difficult to continue capitalizing on. KT have repeatedly shown this game they can make strategic calls to slow down, shut down, and stop Origen's pushes. and that's what they're going to need to rely on. It's interesting to see some of the itemization. That Sterex was completed by Sunday's Olaf, but a dead man's plate on Score's Elise.
Yeah, well, he can slow once he repels down on him, and he catches Peke with the extra move speed.
And just dead again. Peekaboo's got a nice, really big target on Peke's head, apparently, because that's twice now that he's been caught out by the Alistar. Didn't
That
miss
is
that
huge.
combo.
KT gets so many picks, and it generates so many plays for them. The entirety of Origen's advantage is actually off that Baron power play, and KT's fighting right back. Both these teams are just throwing haymakers at each other.
Now KT going to look to try and push down the same turret Origen have already got to line things up. Arrow nice and aggressive on the front line. Decent ulti back. Peekaboo's sort of caught out, but Nagne has to phase dive out of the way. And no fight just yet. Origen will defend.
12 seconds now on Peke's ultimate, so it will not give them an inhibitor turret. It was a nice pick, but it gives them one turret and the gold for that. They actually don't even get too much vision control off of that play either. They have some nice wards towards the mid lane, but if Origen stretches towards their jungle, they go back into fog.
Maybe it is a little too early to mention it, but Soaz has already tried to backdoor Nexus once in the group stages here at Worlds. There was a ward a few moments ago in the exposed inhibitor from KT, and with 2 teleports and a Destiny, if Origen see another opportunity, some breathing room, some space, they could make a play on one of those objectives. But look, a minute 20 for Dragon, a minute 20 for Baron.
We know what happened last time.
Yeah, at this point in the game though, Arrow and Someday are also ridiculously strong. If they can ever run free in these team fights, so basically if Arrow isn't instantly gold carded by Peke early in a fight, he can shred any of the tanks on Origen, because Origen's mostly running a tankless team. Amazing with a dead man's plate, not that tanky of a dude. On top of that, that's all they have. I was going to say
that's it.
That's it.
It doesn't go anywhere after
Everyone
that.
else is squishy.
The thing is, Mythy should be getting towards that Zeke's in a few moments as well. But if you look on the bottom, Amazing has found Peekaboo. Some days on Soaz.
Yeah, another fight, but Someday wins again. These duels, funnily enough, not going to the duelists, as Peke might have found a catch. Arrow could be the one they get. They'll nail it. There's so many stuns to send upon Godmode.
There really is. Now they turn their attention to Score. Where is Someday? He's already used his Ghost and Ragnarok. With Dragon up in 20, Origen may be happy with the 1-for-1 trade if they can get more objectives.
Yeah, we call it a trade, but it was actually just 2 plays made separate from each other. Origen capitalizes knowing that the Olaf isn't there and just goes all in on Arrow since the damage threats are dead. And so it just loses another duel to Someday. Someday is carrying his heart up this game.
To see if Someday can get KT back into the game. Dragon has been started. Nobody from KT is around to challenge this one, but they are maybe trying to clear some vision, at least set up some vision around Baron to prevent the double Baron Dragon play.
Seen this play before, but it's KT this time that find themselves around the Baron. So it's going to go back to bottom lane. Does have his TP, so can make a play and move into the Baron if a fight breaks out. Origen can also just try and shove up mid. Mythy and Niels are already there.
Yeah, it's an exposed inhibitor, so KT actually has to respect this. One thing that Origen is doing pretty well to get around KT's spectacular vision control is the fact that they know where the vision is superior for KT, and they're trying to draw them away from that point again and again. Obviously, Origen is still getting pretty heavily punished by KT's amazing ability to find picks, as we can see by the large kill lead that KT has. It's just a great game to watch.
Next big mistake can determine the entire outcome of this match. Score will find a cocoon on Amazing. Peekaboo's decided to go in. There is support, but the death sentence hits.
Yeah, they are going to look for Peke around the side. He wants to flank. Great ult there by Amazing. And now Peke strikes. Looks for Nagne. Poured in from Soaz. But Sunday's coming as well. Score is crazy low. It'll get knocked up. Soaz will challenge Nagne, but Amazing's getting shredded. Arrow up to the sides, firing. And it's just one kill on Peekaboo. Hook barely connects.
Nagne and Score are so low, but the Destiny's being channeled by Peke. Where will he go? Holds on to the cooldown. Soaz gets into the fight and gets a kill.
And Amazing's forced back, but it will be back relatively shortly. OG have a small window here with a 5v4 with Peekaboo dead and Score running back up from the base to try and make something happen.
Really tense moment in the game right now.
Oh, just got Arrow!
What is he doing up there?
Nail's got it, now Nail's going back in, gets a good onto Nagne. What is Sonya's? Pops a spell shield and just collects it anyway.
That has to be Inhibitor and then Baron for Origen. A massive misplay from KT.
Something that is so out of character. You just don't expect them to make that mistake this late in the game. But Origen, the stage, everything can contribute to people making mistakes. It's the human element of League of Legends, and Origen capitalizes.
Yep, they'll get the mid in him. Neil's been so good already. We've seen him on Kalista. We thought his Sivir was going to be good. Can confirm, still pretty good here on the world stage.
What great positioning from Origen. They find themselves an opportunity. Peke narrowly dodged that undertow. We'll have some support, but no Baron from Origen. Let me take that back. They have started it. Yep. Teleports not available, and this should be secured safely.
Safe, secure from Origen. We'll have to see what encouraged Arrow to walk so close to the brush, because that was just disastrous in a game-turning event for Origen. They have had heavily superior objective control to KT, which is such a feat considering they have been consistently losing the vision battle. Right now, though, is a time in the game where they finally have superiority in that regard.
So we'll have a bit of a breather now as the teams go back and reset. But Origen, after that Baron, are going to look to quite possibly finish off this game. They're 7,000 gold ahead now to watch this again.
Yeah, we catch the tail end of that one, but there was just a smattering of wards there from Origen, and he walked into a ward that was pink ward, a brush that was pink warded. Niels then goes to finish off Nagne. Routine.
Zeke's Harbinger for Mythi. If Niels wasn't dealing enough damage already, going to be amplifying that opportunity. And
yeah, and the item thresholds that Origen have hit are massive right now. The 4 items plus Zeke's Harbinger means the Sivir actually, if he was to duel the Kog'Maw and get in the range, would win the trade because he's critting all of his attacks for about 1,000 damage and he just 2-shot Arrow. Additionally, Peke can also kill Arrow with 2 shots. That much AP with a stack deck, gold card, and wild cards is about 2,000 plus damage.
Well, no Mordekaiser this time, but Twisted Fate will do a lot of damage if you can get on top of the key targets. Origen trying to close the game out. Peke in towards the top side, rest of Origen down the bottom.
Yeah, gonna once again play all 3 lanes. If that's one thing we have learned from this game, Origen has stuck their carries on every individual lane, the entirety of it. We did see a Cocoon almost connect on Niels, but he's playing it very safe.
I think it's pretty safe to say that KT has been playing the jungles and Origen has been playing the lanes.
I agree with that, Jat.
And that's been impressive. And that's another different strategy from Origen as the French crowd really starting to heat up here.
French crowd has been off their feet, quite literally. 35 minutes in, Origen once again.
How can you do a wave at a time like this?
Gold.
It's too important. They're pushing the base.
Sorry, I'm watching the picture-in-picture. But look at that, they've caught Someday.
Could be trouble, but he pops the ulti. That's a big cooldown. KT have to expand. Soa's going nuts. Pops straight into the back line. And OG are going to break the bottom half of the base.
They're going to get themselves onto the inhibitor while Peke is dueling 1v1 with Nagne. Super minions, once again, going to be pouring into the base from a second lane this time around. And Origen move themselves out safely. There's a Baron-empowered wave up top, and it looks like Origen want to go for clean.
3-inhib sweep right here. There's no ultimate on Someday, so he can't storm in. That one hook from Mythi is so critical right now. I think Origen can actually just walk in and take the 3rd inhib.
Starting to run out of chances here for KT. Spell shield there from Niels. We'll try and dodge the Cocoon. Soaz, we're going to close the trap. This is so dangerous for KT Rolster.
It really, really is. The more time they spend trying to defend that top inhib, the longer the Nexus Totem threats.
Sumnay's Ragnarok is up now, so if they wanted to stop it, they'd have to go, but he's on the other side of the map dealing with Soaz. Origen just splitting KT open.
And look at that gold card onto Peekaboo. He's already used the Unbreakable Will. Nagne's gone in, forced back out with that Chrono Break. We do see Origen supers in 3 lanes. Will they back out and play it safe? The answer seems to be yes. They've accrued a lot of gold, over 1,500 on multiple members. And with supers in 3 lanes, it is just a patience game. Work with the map, work with the minions, and then take down those last turrets.
Yep, Dragon even coming back up soon as well. Origen can take a 4th and threaten the 5th if they need it to try and close out this game. At this point, it is Origen's game to lose. They have every bit of the map under control.
This has been a thrilling game, I have to say, and Peke has played out of his mind. Twisted Fate is an excellent champion to pick a snowball when you're against Nagne, who has never been able to pressure his lane so far at Worlds. And even on an Assassin, Peke had total lane dominance on Twisted Fate through that. And the most impressive thing here is KT was playing to so many of their strengths, continually getting picks again and again in the jungle, and they would get advantages for it, but every time KT got an advantage, Origen would answer back in turn.
Yep, rock, paper, scissors. It's just been going in a loop that eventually ended in a very giant rock, crushing KT's chances. If and when Origen close this out, they will be 3-0 in the group stages.
And
You can hear that crowd really amped up for one of their favorite teams and their favorite players. Souls has gotten so much love. You can see OG. Nice little power play there on the Baron. Not massive, but at this point, you don't need much more than that.
They were taking down inhibitor defending turrets, which don't actually give that much gold. So really critical moves. They got the inhibs out. That I think that's the true value here. Now 3 waves of super minions, split up team from Origen. Basically, we just need to track Sunday's Ghost and Ragnarok, because that seems to be the thing that would make a difference in this fight. I think Arrow is basically dead because Peke can ult him, unless Sunday somehow stops Peke.
Well, mid inhib does come back up as well, but Origen just going to knock it down about as quickly. KT really don't have any time left here. If they're going to go, they pretty much have to go now.
Look at the supers on the mini-map. They're about to hit those Nexus turrets. Neil's taken a couple of pokes from Living Artillery, and Origen have split up their forces. They're not running the risk of getting grouped up by Undertow or by that Pulverizer Peekaboo. Chipping away, that inhib will fall shortly.
No need to get impatient here for Origen. Have all the time in the world.
Maybe Peekaboo can get some type of Pulverize on a Peke. They're just looking for the opportunity, and Origen needs to make sure not to over-aggress. The minions will do the work for them, supers will draw threats away, and then they can take the inhibitor.
Be one last stand here for KT. Neil's another great spell shield. Just goes in for the turret. Now Nagno diving in. Forced to instantly Chrono Break his score. He'll have to repel out as well. Mithy zones him out. Peekaboo caught. Eats a hook. Massive pulverize there. But they're just going to peel away. Peekaboo's dead.
He's definitely dead, and will get the heal as well. 5v4 as minions onto the Nexus turrets. Origen pushing in with the numbers advantage. The Nexus turrets both below half HP. The final stand from KT. I don't think it will be enough. Niels is hammering away on Sunday. He's got 2,000 hit points left.
And now Nagne diving back in. He's desperate for a play. Solo's going to rip him to pieces, though. Damage out. Huge hook from Mithy. Peke flashes in. He wants it, but they'll get one turret.
They will. They'll set their sights on the next, and Origen are on to the Nexus. Origen will place first in Group D after taking down KT Rolster.
And with the crowd behind them, Origen go undefeated. And just hear that crowd roar for some of their hometown favorites. Soles on Fiora in France started as a joke, and it ends with an undefeated start to Worlds.
Halfway through the group, Origen stands on top. The question will be whether they can maintain this through, because this was not expected. Against LGD, huge favorites LGD was against Origen. They win the team fights later, they take them down. Against TSM, EU versus NA, okay, that was fine. But now to take down the other 2-0 team by specifically punishing KT for their own strengths shows the versatility as well as strength of this Origen team.
Origen are showing they have the individual plays and player skill to match the best in their group. They're also showing an understanding of the strategic decision-making their opponents make.